Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of
Kiddo.
My name is Hans
I'm Edward.
and we are your hosts for now and forevermore.
Or until we fall. I almost said die. We fall into a tub of coffee and just let the days go by.
You know, I kind of want to say that would be awesome,
Yeah.
but everybody who drinks coffee knows that A, it stains really badly, B, has an awful smell once it's stained, whatever it's stained.
Does it?
And third, depending on how you drink it, it can be sticky.
Does it stain skin?
Given how it can stain teeth, I would say maybe. So would it be the natural way of going up a shade of tan?
That's what I'm thinking.
So instead of coffee detoxing, here you're going to be coffee tanning, right?
Coffee
That's
tanning,
like the... Yeah. Welcome everybody to Gettle 59, Season 2, Episode 17. And yes, I realized last week was 16 when I accidentally said 15. But anyway, moving on. If you are one of our regular listeners, welcome back. If you are new, welcome to one of the internet's best repositories for gaming, entertainment, technology, and lifestyle, news, reviews, previews, and general discussion. All wrapped up in a wonderful, geeky
Tissue box.
We've had tissue box before, Edward.
Well, that's all I can think about now.
Present for me!
In a tissue box.
Oh my god. Okay. Edward, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
What a terrible week.
Yeah.
So, we're all being polite now behind the scenes, but come now, Edward, this is Gettle. This is Gettle. We have our wonderful audience who love to know what we really are going through. And in that sense, it has been a week from hell.
It's really been bad.
So we've had... Okay, I can't speak on Edward's side, but essentially everybody in South Africa has been suffering from load shedding. If you don't know what that is, be thankful. If you are aware, it's basically forced and planned power outages. Anyway, in addition to that, we have had zero internet connectivity for the last week. Thanks to Frogfoot, who has not sponsored this podcast because I doubt anything they sponsor would work.
Yeah. Like, we don't even want your money.
Long story short, our internet, our fiber just hasn't been working. Today is the first day, and thank the Pope, because we can at least upload Gettle for all of you to enjoy.
Yeah.
In terms of internet connectivity, you might be wondering, but what about mobile? Yeah, well, when there are power cuts and the towers don't have batteries anymore because they keep being stolen, that means no connectivity whatsoever. So you end up just being on your own with maybe one downloaded book or something, and your thoughts, and not even coffee to help you along the way.
Which is the biggest issue of them all, I'd say.
So there we go. That's that. That's our week. There are one or two other things, that obviously do happen in the background, which maybe we'll explore at a later stage. With that said, when most of you do listen to this episode, I will be a year older than I am right now. So technically, as we record this, I am still 28, but when you
and when you see this, when you actually see the video or listen to the podcast, you'll be 29. And we'll leave it just there.
Okay, no, realistically, you all know, if you've been listening for a while, I'm in my 30s, mid-30s to be precise. I'm actually now going to be on what I call the wrong side of 30s, because I'm now closer to 40. Well, I will be closer. When you hear this, I will be closer to 40 than I am to 30.
So, in other words, literally mid-30s. And now it's not mid-30s anymore.
That's exactly it.
Literally, it's that edge. Shame.
It's like, and then it's like,
It's the tipping point.
Yes, it's like I'm slowly going down that hill now.
What do I say about the peak? We spoke about peak age.
Oh, well, no. So for you, you've mentioned so many times how you want a vampire to turn you in your early 30s, right? Well, I was hoping by the time I was 35 that it would have happened. And unfortunately, it hasn't. So I don't know where y'all bitch ass vampires be at, but like, can you convert me already? I have only hours left.
Literal hours. Half a day.
No, it's not. It's not so bad. It hasn't. You know, we all go through things, and I actually found this incredible YouTube video, which weirdly enough I haven't even slotted into this week's episode notes, but I might as well just speak about it now. Let me quickly just get the name of it while we're talking. It's called The Tail End, and it's from this channel which seems to sort of look into really deep topics. You know, and this tail end one specifically looks at how many weeks go by in your life during certain periods of your life. So, for example, by the time you are, or by the age of 12, I think you've had about 200 or 400 weeks of living. So, something to that effect. I'm just now spewing off the numbers after having watched that video like once.
Well, if that's true, that sounds sad.
But the way that they go through it, and they basically say, you know, if you lived up until the age of 100, you'd have so many weeks, and then they divide that up into aspects of your life. And they do then talk about how your 30s, 40s, and 50s, up until the age of 60, are your most productive years. Because those are the years where, you know, you're settling down, you hopefully have a good paying job, maybe you start a family, you know, and it's just a wonderful video of showcasing how everybody's different. There is no mold that you all have to fit. So, you know, whether you've decided to have children or not, whether you've decided to actually have a partner or not, whether you are in the career you care about or not, you know, it's just enjoy the weeks you have in your life. Don't let little things in society dissuade you from enjoying yourself, whatever that may be. And they even do a good job of saying, you know, just because somebody is hiking or building a robot for NASA doesn't mean that when you sit down to play video games that that's a waste of time, because it's not. As long as you're enjoying it, it's your life. These are your hours, your weeks, and your days to enjoy. So never ever feel guilty for them. With that said, of course, there is a certain period in your life where you will where you may not always be working, or rather you will be working for a certain extent of time, and then that'll hopefully help you for the future. And therefore they do have a little bit of a, you know, don't waste it. You know, whatever you think wasting is, try to waste it as minimal as possible. Yeah. Basically.
Don't just laze around all the time.
Well, I mean, if you did, and that really was something you enjoyed, sure. But, you know, the one nice thing that they also speak about is family. And they talk about how, for example, you know, they go through the ages, how, like, you know, up until about 21, you're at home. Between 18 and 21, you're at home. And then between 21 and like 35, you move out and you do things, and then in that time you're actually away from your parents. And then they did this wonderful calculation of, if you had to see your parents for every odd weekend throughout that phase of you becoming who you are, like in your 20s and 30s and 40s, you would have then spent as much time with them as you were until the age of 12 directly with them. So something to that effect. So it did a really lovely way of sort of being like, you know, don't take those who are around you for granted either. You know, because maybe you feel you don't have the time to see somebody, whatever, but just do it. Even if you just pick up the phone to say hi. And they even mentioned, like, it doesn't matter how old the connections are with people, just pick up a phone. But they might want to be happy to hear you, you know, because as you get older, you get busier. You know, no,
why are you calling me bitch?
I just wanted to say hi.
But that makes sense. Life is fleeting.
Yes. Yeah. And it really is. I don't know about you, but it feels like it's going super fast. Like, I mean, we're already 6 months into the year. It's my birthday already. Just remember, I get presents every 6 months.
To be fair, last year was a blur. It practically...
It just went 2019, 2021.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
Literally.
Yeah.
It was 2019, COVID, 2021. So I get that as well.
Anyway, yeah, so that's it. We're now in Geralt, and we've already, I don't want to say that we've already segued, but like we already spoke about something we weren't planning on speaking about. So welcome if you're new.
So just carry on.
Let's see. So this is something, so if you're watching the video of Gettle this week, you'll see that Edward and I both have headphones on. Now, compared to the previous episode, which was 58, we had a bit of an issue where sometimes the audio became distorted. We think we've nailed it down to my dock for my MacBook. And in order to ensure that while we're recording that issue didn't present itself again, we're now wearing headsets where we actually are hearing our voices back again, just to make sure there isn't a problem. So with headsets on the mind, however, and this is something that I personally needed to know about, maybe it's because I'm getting old, but I'll maybe touch upon that again, is I was like, can
Excuse me.
headphones modify the way your ears look? And by that, I mean, when you grow up and you see people with biggish ears or ears that protrude, you sometimes wonder to yourself,
Their parents pull them around.
Exactly. Actually, okay, hold on. So, right. I'll cut to the chase. No. Headphones cannot influence your ears. So it doesn't matter if you wear earphones or headphones 24/7, 365. They cannot change your ears or the shape thereof as long as you are at least above the age of 10. Because up until the age of 10, your ears are constantly developing. With that said, though, they do kind of reach their full shape. I think it's by the age of 6 or 7. But then, we'll obviously be speaking about the inner canal and, things like that. So, yeah, maybe as Edward was acting out on the video, for those of you who maybe are listening and not watching, if you grab your kids' ears when they're young, it could, deform them ever so slightly.
It's like a plant. When the plant is budding, you put a stick in there to make sure that it goes up. Maybe it's similar?
To an extent, yes. Look, science does say that the ears are fully formed regardless. So, but you're born and you come out, yes, it might be malleable right at the start. But even at 2, 3, the cartilage is already sort of has its shape. So you kind of just grow into the shape.
Okay.
Now, in terms of growing, I have to add this in.
Yeah.
Did you know that the nose and the ears are the two things that never stop growing? And that's why old people have really big ears and sometimes really big noses.
The old witch down the street with long nose.
That's why, I guess a part of why I was wondering about this, ear thing is because I'm looking at my ears, and I've got generally small ears, and I still the other day, maybe because I was really noticing, and I was like, they can seem to be sticking out a little bit. Is this normal? Yes, according to science, it's absolutely normal, and I've obviously just not paid enough attention to it until now.
Well, at least with age, the longer your nose get, we mentioned this last week.
That there is no correlation. So.
There might be.
Well, no, you see, now that's interesting. So going back to episode 58's NSFW section, where Edward actually mentioned that the larger the nose, the larger the penis, correct?
Yep.
That actually, now that we're talking about ears this week, that might not be true because as you age, your nose and your ears continue to grow. So, and we also know that because of age, you not only get shorter, but your peen shrivels and gets smaller.
But that begs the question: what age were the cadavers they tested?
Or maybe there's maybe the correlation remains valid between, let's say, the ages of puberty, so between 15 and 20, and 60, 55,
maybe a window
just before that the testosterone starts dipping in your 30s. Anyway, so
touchy subject. I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, right? Sense, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one, actually. So talking about origins. Because, we're talking about, origins of our ears.
Yeah.
There was actually more that I wanted to say, but rather what I'm going to do is just link back to, the article, and you can read about it and so on. Disney's released a very cool movie called Cruella.
Oh, and you loved it.
I really enjoyed it, yes.
It looks silly.
Look, okay. In my defense, I didn't even watch the trailer. So I went into watching Cruella only knowing that it was an origin story for Cruella de Vil, the infamous antagonist from 101 Dalmatians.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed it. It's a good movie. I was not... I watched it with the entire family, and we all enjoyed it. This was before the internet decided to die.
Yeah, naturally.
It's good because what I liked most about it is, unlike a lot of other Disney's recent like the Cinderellas and the Maleficent, which I still love Angelina Jolie, and Maleficent is still one of my favorite villains. Anyway, it is a true origin story. So it's not like they went back and had to draw on, previous work.
Yeah.
You know,
because there are
Cruella, nobody knows where she comes from.
Yeah.
You watch 101 Dalmatians, whether the animation or the recent, well, not recent, but several years ago remake or whatever the case is. You don't really know what made Cruella.
But
You don't.
Ella.
Oh, okay, but you know what I mean. Like nobody
yeah.
really knows why she wanted to harvest the Dalmatians for a coat. What drove her to that? And sure, they allude to that a little bit in Cruella, and I'm going to say it again because that's how Cruella says Cruella.
Of course.
It's really good. And we've spoken about spoilers and stuff before, so I'll try not to lead too much into it. But it's wonderful to see where she comes from. Who her parents were, what happened in her young life to turn her into this horrible witch-like character that just seems to want to get rid of Dalmatians. And in that sense, it's absolutely fantastic. The two standout roles are obviously Emma Thompson, who is the Baroness in the film. She's this she runs this mega fashionable empire, and the other person is Emma Stone, who is actually Cruella.
Herself.
And the reason why this is interesting, why this might sound odd, is because in the movie, Ella, before she becomes known as Cruella, or rather, she's always Ella, and then she has like a dark side who is Cruella. I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but they actually do it quite well in the film. Loves fashion. And so she aspires to be a fashion designer. And therefore, through a series of unfortunate, or rather fortunate events, meets the Baroness. And then goes and works for her. And of course, there's a few other twists and turns along the way, which I won't spoil, but they're obvious and predictable because it's a Disney movie.
It's a Disney movie, yeah.
No, I enjoyed it. It's lighthearted. Every now and again, there's a few, not necessarily puerile, but a bit stupid humor every now and again, specifically with the henchmen that Cruella has. But overall, I thought it was a very enjoyable, good film. Not average, not exceptional, but good film. You want to enjoy yourself, watch it. Yes, is it predictable? So what? It's enjoyable, and the fashion is on point.
Of course it is.
You know how I spoke about Halston in one of the previous episodes, and I didn't even know who Halston was, right? But I enjoy the fashion and the design, like what they go through, and they do a good job of exploring that with Cruella and the Baroness, and how Cruella has this innate genius. But then where does that genius come from?
You'll have to watch to find out. I will say this much about Cruella. As we've spoken about before, there are certain roles that certain actors just fill, even before they're cast. And forever, for I think a good decade now, people have said that Emma Stone should play Cruella. I don't know why, because she looks nothing like that evil old hag in the drawn cartoon, but in a sense, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Perhaps.
Like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. And I think maybe that's why she's such a good role.
She has a fairly decent British accent. We all know she's American. So when she puts on the Cruella accent and speaks with panache, it's good. But there are moments where she does slip.
Okay.
I will admit that. And when that happened, part of me was a bit like, maybe they should just cast a British actress. But with that said, she brings such a wonderful duality to the role. And I have to say that because Cruella is all about the double-sided. She's got the dark hair and the black and the white. Yes. And that plays into her personality within the film, And, Emma Stone did a great job, and Emma Watson. Oh, sorry, not Emma Watson.
Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson. I have Harry Potter.
Valkyrie, Thor.
Yeah.
For those who don't know.
Emma Thompson is sensational in her role, which I don't want to give too much about because she was just so good. So good.
Might be on my watch list.
Do it. I think you'll enjoy it. I do. Now, something that I would say is worth passing on is the film words on bathroom walls. It's distinctly average. It's evidently a young adult film, and it deals with schizophrenia. But my gosh, is the main character irritating. He comes across as a stoner the whole time, like he's stoned throughout the entire movie.
Is that the point?
No, it's not.
Okay.
The whole point is about the fact that he has schizophrenia and he's trying to deal with it. And obviously through school, he gets bullied and then he finally meets like a girlfriend and like, you know, and then realizes how important his family is. Like that stuff was good, but I couldn't get past his whole like, yeah, man, attitude. When we're trying to deal with a sensitive topic of schizophrenia that he's going through, and I was just like, I was like, no, dude. I was like, nah, dude, nah,
dude.
I don't get, you know, I can't even do the accent.
I don't get you, man.
It's like, yeah, just take your spliff and you'll be good. No more schizophrenia for you, bro.
I guess his director just bad directing, bad character directing and such.
I wouldn't say direction. I would say poor casting choice. I didn't even write his name down here because he's forgettable in the role. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was average. It's average. It's not a great. I like the fact that they're bringing light to schizophrenia, which is something that I believe is not really seen much of in cinema.
Yeah.
But there are other movies that do much better jobs of mental disabilities or ailments or even things like cancer, for example. Movies that have ripped me where you just cry. I did not feel any of that in this film, unfortunately. It was just very much this stoner guy is probably high more than he has schizophrenia. That's how it felt.
That's fair.
At least I suppose he had a nice smile. I'll give him props for that. He was like high and smiling most of the time. Now, speaking of teeth, Edward,
yes,
I think you're gonna love to hear about this. I look, when I came across this new research, I was just like, it is about gosh damn time that more research is done into teeth and what we can do to make them better. I mean, think about it. How much research is really done into teeth nowadays?
Not much.
I mean, okay, there are some advancements, right? Like I went to the dentist a week ago, funny enough. Interestingly enough, this is how I didn't even look up teeth, they're just random. Anyway, let's get going. I'm going to
That's just Siri listening to your every move.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you see that thing about that? Did I tell you about it?
No.
There was this American news program and they had their not news anchors, but they basically had their presenters sitting in a room and they put iPhones down and they had this debate about, is Facebook actually listening?
Yeah.
Now we all know with iOS 14.5 you can ask apps not to track you, and at the same time there are a lot of other extensions of approve the mic, approve the camera, blah blah blah, and then also iOS will tell you what's been using it.
Yes.
Anyway, so they do this whole test thing where they're sitting there and then they just start speaking about Disney parks, Disney holidays, Disney vacations, and then weirdly enough, 30 minutes later, they're both being served ads for Disney vacations on Instagram and on Facebook. So this is something. Look. This is something I would like to discuss maybe at a later stage.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing it now as like a tantalizing topic.
Yeah.
But yes, maybe at a later stage. Anyway, back to teeth.
Yes.
Went to the dentist. Was a great experience. My teeth are good. Yay! I'm very happy about that. There have been some advances though. Like I'm sure you remember in the past when you had to get X-rays. You'd have to put that like weird gum guard thing in, and then your face is by a plate. No. Long gone are those. Now it's this handheld portable thing which literally just goes behind your tooth. It's super comfortable and boom, digital, and your x-rays are immediately available.
Lucky you.
I'll give you the name of my dentist, don't worry.
Good.
Now, with that on the mind, we all know that as we age, or rather, the things we consume, whether it's coffee or maybe you smoke, whatever the case is, you can stain your teeth, as we mentioned earlier on in the episode with coffee. And the reason for that is because enamel over time does break down, the enamel on your teeth.
Yes.
Well, listen to this, and this is incredible because up until this point, there has been nothing that can help you rebuild your enamel, with the exception of having your teeth just redone, with the crowns or anything to that effect.
Yeah.
So these new researchers at the University of Washington have developed a lozenge. A lozenge, Edward.
Like a strepsil.
Yes, that you pop into your mouth and it helps rebuild tooth enamel.
Okay.
What do you mean? Okay, this
Most
is
lozenges
sensational.
will always have on the little packet. Oh, it helps rebuild your tooth.
No, it
How
doesn't.
true
Does
is
it?
How
I've never
true
seen
is
that.
it really?
Okay. I can't speak for whatever lozenges you are consuming in your life.
Okay, yeah.
But more along the lines of like, you know how sometimes chewing gum will be like with fluoride to protect your teeth.
Yeah.
Now, fluoride is one of those chemicals that helps preserve enamel, but it doesn't help rebuild enamel.
So maybe that's the distinction.
That's probably it. Because, you know, most toothpaste has fluoride as well. And it's to protect your teeth and keep them good, keep the enamel strong and clean and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, you know, there are a lot of things out there, you know, whitening strips and that, which actually damage your enamel in order to make your teeth whiter. Anyway, back to this research. Personally, to me, it sounded like science fiction. But it's as simple as these researchers have created a lozenge, you pop it into your mouth, I think it's 2 a day over a certain period of time, and before you know it, not only are your teeth whiter because of building brand new enamel, but they've got brand new enamel.
Like so they get filled.
Not filled. So you know that your teeth essentially is kind of like an onion.
Yes.
They're different layers, right?
Layers, yeah.
So the way that this works, all right, and I'm getting a little bit technical now, is that what the team have done is they've found this unique chain of amino acids along with phosphorus and calcium ions, which are basically the building blocks of enamel, and they've engineered them into a unique peptide, which is derived from amelogenin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm assuming it's genin and not genin, right?
Yeah,
so amelogenin. And that is actually the key in restoring enamel. And it's the first time they've been able to actually create this, but not just to the point of creating it to help build the teeth, but that whereby it's suitable for people to consume and then it doesn't have an impact on your soft tissue within your mouth. So that's like the real like breakthrough.
Yeah.
And anyway, so this amelogenin helps the formation of cementum, which is, I mean, like sounds like cement, I guess.
It's literally
anyway. and that is to prevent tooth rot, right? Anyway, it's just the most incredible thing. And what the lozenge does when you consume it is it starts depositing micrometers of this new peptide onto your teeth, and that actually rebuilds enamel. It's incredible because enamel eroding away leads to teeth sensitivity. It leads to stains. It leads to cavities because that's how a cavity forms. You know, when you have a bit of something in there and it eats away. Yes. Exactly. And I just think it's absolutely incredible. There's a bit more to it than that, so I'll just read a bit here. So basically, after these little micrometers of this amelogenin or whatever are put onto your teeth, they rebuild the enamel, and before you know it, your teeth have a new surface. And it's whiter, brighter, and stronger than it was before. And all you have to do is eat a lozenge twice a day.
But do they mention how long it will take for the average tooth to like strengthen itself?
It's almost instant. That's the beauty of it. So like you could eat one of these lozenges now, and they could measure you an hour or so after it's finished dissolving, and they'll already find that the deposits have been laying on your teeth, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. It's absolutely incredible. It's currently in the first stage of clinical trials.
Okay.
So that's definitely a good sign, because here's hoping that maybe in a couple of years from now, you could just pop into the local grocery store and rebuild your enamel on the fly.
Something tells me it's going to be one, expensive, and two, you're going to have to get like something from your dentist to sell this to you, because it's going to sell out like sweet cakes.
Yeah, I think their intention would be for everybody to have it.
Yeah.
But as you're saying, it's probably going to be restricted
just
to
prescription type thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Schedule 2 or something.
Well, I don't know. Let's see, right?
I think it's dope.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes, because I want this. I already have good teeth,
I mean,
right?
I have stained teeth.
So. I mean, look, the stain aside, though, this is it's a simple thing of just having something that you can consume on the daily, and you have better protection for your teeth
morning and evening
than brushing them. I mean,
that's cool.
It's not an alternative.
Because there's stuff that you need to
I'm literally drinking my coffee at this moment in time, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I could so do.
As well, when you start mentioning the lozenge aspect, because obviously nothing beats brushing. There's
Of
stuff you
course
need to
not,
get
yeah.
out. You need to get your tongue
And
nice
flossing.
and
Do you know how
fresh.
important flossing is? Do you know that flossing can
Yes.
help prevent heart disease?
Yes.
Okay.
So, which is also a very important thing. At least once a week, you need to floss.
I certainly
Please,
hope.
PSA.
I certainly hope that Ash's mom instilled the importance of clean teeth before he left on his Pokemon journey.
Wow. I hope so as well, Hans. Why do you mention that?
If you're new to Gettle, you must know we have the best segues. between
Wow, even
concepts.
I saw that one coming, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
to be fair, that's true. That we do hope that.
I mean, come on, he's a kid though. Think about it. I mean,
he's like 10 years old.
well, is he?
Yes,
Okay,
he's always been 10.
That's a topic for another day.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because there is an answer to that allegedly. But for today's topic, we're going to be talking about Ash's Pikachu, actually.
Mm.
And what level is he? Hey? What
Probably
level
like
is he?
123 or some
Think
shit.
about it, man. You would imagine that after, 16 or 13 seasons and like 12 movies, that the Pikachu that he has consistently had with him would at least be a level 100 by now, which is the maximum.
Listen, after 13 hours in Shield, my Pikachu was already a Raichu and retired. So,
Okay. So with that said, our wonderful listeners,
Mm.
I mean, we just have a number in mind as we discuss this.
Mm.
What level do you think Ash's Pikachu is at? Ed? Just
Mm.
randomly.
okay, I would say it's max level, like 100 already, because he's gone through all the gyms.
So that is what I would also have thought.
Yeah,
That he's got to be 100 by now.
yeah.
I
easy.
mean, but then, you tell me that Ash hasn't aged and he's remained 10 throughout 14 seasons.
because it was a wish. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
a
for
good
another.
discussion
Actually,
for
there was
another
also
day.
the small little thing that I found out who Ash's father is. Or there's a theory. Do you want to know?
Professor Oak.
No,
Ooh.
Giovanni.
No man. No.
One day he went out for a pack of cigarettes and never came back.
Mm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I think maybe we'll postulate on that in a future
Yeah.
episode. So
I bet there's a game theory or
there
a
is.
show theory. on
That's
that.
why. Anyway,
Yeah,
anyway.
okay.
So thank you to Tegan from Australia, one of our regular listeners, for sending this in. It's been absolutely remarkable. Game theory / film theory, because they weren't really sure where to put this on, because it kind of
It's the same
It's a bit of
thing.
both. Yeah.
Yeah.
They went and they did the research to try and determine exactly what level Ash's Pikachu is at. All right, and do you want to know what
Yeah.
level he's at?
I'm curious now.
Inconclusive.
Do they have at least
Okay.
close of an
Look. In their defense, all right, it is an absolutely momentous undertaking to try and figure it out. So I watched the episode, and I implore all of you to do it as well. We'll link to it below.
Yeah.
They watched over 650 episodes of Pokemon, all like 13 to 15 movies. They then went through each of them to look for the battles that Ash had specifically with Pikachu. And then they go into this whole long research factoid thing about how they calculated the XP and which Pokemon would count towards the XP and which wouldn't. So only those that fainted versus those that ran away.
That's how it works.
And it's just the most incredible video of how they did this.
yeah.
And essentially, I don't want to give the Crib Notes version because it's such a good video that I want you to watch this. I want whoever's listening to watch this because it's just so good. And they are going to do a second part, which we will eventually discuss at a later stage, just in case y'all don't want to watch and just want to listen to us spewing the whole time, which is great.
Yeah.
So essentially, the little bit that they went through is that by the end of the Kanto region, which is I think season 1 and 2, I think. Anyway, at the end of the Kanto region, they calculate that Pikachu's level 30. All right, already. All right, that was the big thing, So then he must be 100 right by now, right? But then there are a whole lot of other things like even that happen in the games, and I think they were trying to figure out how does it happen in the real world, and that is EXP reset. So every time you go to a new region, your EXP technically resets.
Okay.
You see?
Well, to be fair about that one, it resets because you're a new trainer. What if you had the same
yes.
Pokemon?
But Ash is not a new trainer, right?
Exactly.
Now, the show does a good job of actually addressing that
Mm.
by how when Ash goes to the Johto League, he doesn't really use Pikachu much.
Yeah.
He actually ends up using a lot of other Pokemon
Yes.
in place of Pikachu. Anyway, at the end of Johto, allegedly, he's only level 40.
Okay.
And that's now a further 3 seasons later. So now we're talking about season 5, season 6 already.
To be fair, I think Johto was season 2.
No, they split it. They split it.
Oh, okay.
So I think, I mean, I stand to be corrected,
Yeah,
of course. Watch this video
yes.
from Game Theory. Okay?
We
But
are obviously
I think it's 2 seasons Kanto and then 3 seasons Johto.
Oh, okay.
That's my understanding of what they did. And then they also go into how, because Johto was longer, the EXP was spread out further.
Yeah,
anyway, it's a phenomenal video. And I'm very curious to know, once they finish part 2, what level they think Pikachu is at. Because I want to know.
Yeah. I'm super curious now.
Also, the whole Giovanni father thing, I need to know now myself.
That's weird.
But that would be cool, though.
How would the leader of Red Rocket or whatever...
Team Rocket Highball. How do you not know?
How would the leader of Team Rocket ever be with Ash's mom, who's in a random Ash village?
Well, this is the whole point. Maybe he was a townie, or maybe it was a one-night stand. I mean, we don't know
is
how
that why
sordid
he
Pokemon
hates
gets.
Ash?
well, yeah, because Ash is a constant reminder of where he comes from, and at every step, Ash continues to thwart him and his father.
But does that mean... No, that's
What?
I was going to say, like, maybe Jesse and James are, like, long-lost siblings or something. But
no, but Jesse and James are not related to Giovanni.
That we know of.
Oh, gosh, Edward, could you imagine? But Jesse and James are not related to each other either.
No.
I've always shipped the two of them.
Yeah.
Then again, you never know where James really stands.
Exactly. So, that's the thing.
James and Brock, here we go.
Actually, Rule 34 exists. So...
oh, actually, wait, before you carry on.
Yes.
Again, Taken from Australia submitted this, and I just forgot about it.
Yeah.
Did you know that Samsung has a mascot?
Yes.
I've never... What mascot?
She has been all over Reddit. So
well,
that's how I know.
That's what Tegan submitted. Tegan submitted the Rule 34.
Of course there would already be a Rule 34.
Look, it's the first I've heard of it. I haven't even looked at it yet, so maybe I'll keep that for next week.
Maybe.
When I give you my honest opinion on what I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, with that in mind, given how we know that, I would assume the mascot is South Korea.
No idea. She looks normal.
What define normal, Edward?
She looks European.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, but don't
Caucasian.
most anime characters look European when they're not?
No. Most of them actually have like little features that put them apart.
So maybe that's my stereotype, because I just figured that, Samsung, being a South Korean company, would have a South Korean mascot. Because
or maybe you would see her differently than I do. Once you see... Her name is Sam, for those who don't know.
Oh, Samsung.
Yeah.
Is her name Sam and her surname Sung?
If that's the case, then we know where she comes from, at least.
Oh my gosh.
We'll speak about this more next week, I guess.
Leading from that, is like in her nationality.
Yes.
Like,
Mr.
would she
Sun.
be South Korean?
I guess so.
Regardless of whatever surname she's rocking.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because this I find very interesting. So, like, for the longest time, like, if you're born in a country, generally you would think you're given citizenship. Usually.
That's how it works.
No, it turns out it's not the case. There's actually 2 means of how you get citizenship. I don't know if you knew.
No.
I didn't know.
I thought it was born and green card. So that's the 2.
No. So actually, there's 2 rules for citizenship, apparently.
Yeah.
It is the rule of the land and rule of the blood.
Okay, so that changes the context of this. Because when I saw the image in my notes, I thought it was going to be like kind of a heritage thing. Like, when can you claim land? Not when you can claim citizenship.
Well, I mean, this is specifically more citizenship.
Okay.
Which, I mean, in a way would mean whether you could claim land or not.
I guess so.
Right? I mean, it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both.
Yeah, that's true.
So this I just thought to me it was fascinating because, you've always heard of, how people get citizenship, and 90% of the time it's, you're going to be born in the country. Or maybe, only when people immigrate do they look at their grandparents or whatever and they see if they can get other citizenships.
Yeah.
All right. So I didn't know, but the world is split into 2. One being the rule of land and one being the rule of blood. And there's actually names for it. So it's jus soli, which is rule of land, and then jus sanguinis. I'm assuming this is Latin.
It sounds Latin.
Latin for rule of blood. And essentially, rule of land is where you're automatically offered citizenship irrespective of your parents' nationalities. And this seems to be predominantly for the North Americas and South America, with the exception of Colombia and South America, which actually follows the rule of blood, which is whereby your citizenship depends on the citizenship of your parents. So it doesn't matter whether or not you're actually born in a country. If your parents are not citizens of that country, you don't get the nationality.
But so if it's irrespective of blood, okay,
yes,
how does it work then?
So it would be like this. Let's say yourself and Marianne go for a holiday to America.
Yes.
Neither of you have green cards. Neither of you are citizens. But let's say you're on a working visa.
Mm-hmm.
You fall pregnant. You have a child.
Mm-hmm.
That child is automatically American. That is the rule of the land.
Okay.
Okay, not rule of the blood. However, let's take the opposite is true. Let's say yourself and Marianne move to Australia.
Yes.
And you're living there for 2 years. You're both on temporary visas, just like you were in America.
Mm-hmm.
You have a baby and the baby's born. That baby is not Australian because neither of you are Australian. So that baby would be South African living in Australia until you have enough points or you've been in Australia for a long enough time to claim citizenship.
So that explains why my sister, who was born in Namibia, is Namibian.
Yes.
She has Namibian citizenship.
Is Namibia on? Yes, because Namibia is rule of the land.
That's the little, the single blue dot.
There are only, 3 countries in... Four countries. Actually, it's 5.
5, yeah.
Okay, so
Lesotho
it's Namibia, Lesotho, Mozambique, Tanzania, and Chad. They're the only countries in the continent of Africa that abide to the rule of the land. Meaning, if you're born there, irrespective of where your parents come from, you're a citizen.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
That's super cool.
And then the rest of the world, with the exception of Pakistan, the African countries I've mentioned, almost all of North America and all of South America, except for Colombia, is rule of blood.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's rule of it's rule of land. Sorry, it's rule of land. It's rule of land.
Oh yeah,
everywhere else is rule of blood.
Yes,
including
Greenland.
I just think it's interesting. So it basically means that South Africa is rule of blood. So even if
That's...
you're born here, so like it would basically mean like if both of your parents were American and they lived in South Africa and they gave birth to you, that child wouldn't be South African.
Yeah,
that child would be American living in South Africa until they were here for long enough. Is that incredible?
Wow. Wow. Okay, that's cool.
We will link to the actual GIF, not the GIF, the image,
mm-hmm.
and you can check it out. It's absolutely fascinating. And if you're one of our foreign listeners, did this blow your mind a little bit? And if it did, let us know whether you were rule of the land or rule of blood.
This is amazing. It's blowing my mind.
I feel like this could be like a Game of Thrones thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it could. Yeah. Like I'm looking at the colors and I'm like, wow, how did Chad even decide on that? You know?
I don't know. Like I would also personally love to know, where did this come from? Why did all of a sudden rule of the land exist in America?
Yes.
Do you think it could have been because the European settlers were like, oh, new place, let's do new country, who dis? You know?
This came from the fact that from the Civil Wars, I assume.
Yeah.
Because as you said, new place, who this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like we claim this now, and this is how our children will be able to claim land.
Well, yeah, you think about that for a second. Maybe they were so upset with the monarchies and aristocracies of the world, where, if you're born into the royal family, you are royalty, and they left all of that to get away from it. So then to completely ensure that never takes place again, you just make it rule of the land, not rule of the blood.
I think that makes completely sense.
Hey?
And then Colombia was like, nah, bitch. Nah, our children are citizens.
Well, I mean, they're the only one in South America.
Literally. And Greenland, where do they fall? America?
I mean, technically,
Europe?
If you look at this map, it's kind of, I would say it's its own thing. Greenland's just doing its own thing. It's like kind of near Europe, kind of by America. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of a topic months ago I added to Gettle. And we just never spoke about it because it had to do with maps, and I didn't know how interesting that really was.
Oh, I remember you took it out, and I was like, no, it's going to be interesting, but yeah.
And it just had to do with the shape of the Earth and what certain maps mean and so on and so forth. And, we're looking at this map now, and it's flat. that the Earth is round.
Yes.
So therefore, we're like, oh, where does Greenland fit? Like, we actually need the
Atlas.
globe, to really know.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's like in the middle up
We'll
there
maybe
almost.
think about adding that in a future episode if any of you out there are really interested to know.
We might get there one day.
Oh, speaking of maps and people, you know that penis sizes differ depending on where you live. Welcome to NSFW.
As forced as that was, I actually appreciate that one because it fits.
Edward, you and your penis facts all the time.
Listen, do you know how difficult it is to sometimes it just falls into my lap, okay, these things.
Oh, apparently.
Okay.
In your lap is where it is.
I have to be like, okay, we have some cool stuff.
Listen. After your bomb last week, I cannot get it out of my mind. Every time I look at your hands now, I'm like, hey.
If you want me to pull my faster. The thing is, so sometimes I'll find penis facts, okay? They don't
Sometimes, y'all. Basically every episode.
They'll all be like, okay, but this is going to be one-sided, so I need to find vagina facts as well. Oh, sorry. I think it's okay.
Oh, don't worry. If you didn't hear that, Edward accidentally bumped the microphone.
Sorry about that.
In his excitement to tell us more about the penis.
Yeah, and then I'll Google vagina just to make sure that I can find something. So you should see my history. Anyway, what I found this week is wow.
I love the fact that for those of you who might not be able to hear anything, the aircon literally just started. It shouldn't be bothering the mic at all, but anyway.
Just in case.
Back to the penis.
Which is actually a good thing that came on and everything because it all comes into play. Did you know that getting COVID might give you erectile dysfunction?
Yes, I did. I did know this. We've spoken about this, Edwin.
Well, did we?
Yes.
Because this is brand new research have come out.
In season 1, we mentioned how, because I remember we spoke about how there was reports from Italy.
Yeah.
How people were getting blood clots
in
their penises. Yes. And it was specifically because of COVID and COVID's blood clotting nature, but how it specifically was affecting the genitals.
Yes.
And that's why we were like, listen, y'all.
So because of that, they started researching it. This is Italian research. Okay,
well there we go. Yeah.
The original research all about long-term damage to the penis area,
the organs, right?
Yes.
The bits that swell.
Pretty much, yeah. The balls and the shaft and everything because of the blood clots.
Yes.
Now it turns out that there is now irrefutable proof that it does cause ED.
Wow.
So there are 3 main points the research pinpoints. The number 1 is it has vascular effects. So if you pick up COVID, chances are good that you will experience vascular effects, which is erectile dysfunction.
Well, I mean, it would be a little bit more, I guess.
It includes heart disease as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So essentially, do you remember last year when people were declared dead because of COVID?
Yeah.
Sometimes it happened that they had a heart attack and they were saying, "Oh no, it was COVID," and then people went into a tizzy about, it's
the number of people
government
who are in denial and they're like, "Oh, it's not COVID."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, that was literally a cardiovascular, a COVID-induced cardiovascular effect.
Wow.
So that's why they write you died by COVID if you had a heart attack. Anyway, that's another topic on its own. So what happens is COVID actually has hyperinflammation throughout the body, which includes the bottom area,
Well, I mean, because you're beginning inflamed down there.
Yes, especially if you're pumping blood.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just spit. So the more busy you are while you have COVID, the more your chances are of destroying your own genitals.
Is that really?
That's essentially a paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what they're saying.
So what I'm getting here,
yeah,
is that the vascular effect COVID has on the body is through inflammation. So
Yes.
therefore, the more you do to cause inflammation, the higher your chance of clotting.
Yes,
Wow.
essentially, in a way. The second point the study focuses on is psychological impact.
Well, yeah, because
Now,
if you can't get
there's
it up,
a lot of that.
gosh.
Yeah. The third point is overall health
Before you carry on,
deterioration. Yeah.
That's so okay. I know we haven't mentioned like hair loss on the
Yes.
on the channel. You know, when I'm like getting on the wrong side of 30. I thought about a while back to actually go on something called Rogaine. I'm sorry, I know I'm like
is that the
it's
thing,
that no
spray?
No. It's this tablet that you. It was one of the tablets that you can drink, and that it actually literally stops hair loss, literally in its tracks. That's why they say the earlier you drink it, the better.
Okay.
But guess what? One of the side effects can be
ED.
Yes, and irreversible ED as well. Generally, it is reversible. There are very small cases where it'll happen and it's irreversible. And I just looked at that and I was like, you know what? I'll just go bald gracefully.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Just be like Hulk Hogan and graze and
so like I totally get the psychological impact that you're talking about here, because I mean, it sounds so superficial. You know, like what is it like we've previously spoken about things that are pointlessly gendered and what does it mean to be a man? Y'all, an erection.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really great answer in my personal opinion.
That's literally it. Yeah.
Okay, because but I'm not saying that that's what you have to have, but then because I mean I know people who are trans who've had the surgeries and they can get erections and they say it feels good. So I would just like to say that that's kind of like one of the hallmarks, is that you can get this piece of your body that like pops out like
you have a little sword you can use.
Think about it. Ladies don't have that.
Exactly.
I mean, there is engorgement, but not to that extent.
No, not at all.
No, the clitoris pops
No,
out.
I mean to that extent.
Yeah,
yes.
that you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying.
Yes. And that's super.
And then your third topic here was just overall health deterioration,
which we mentioned at the start now. So that's literally the main reason they mentioned all of this is in the first place was to get down to what overall long-term effects COVID have.
Yeah. And
that includes the blood clotting and the genital damage that you can get from just 2 weeks of having COVID. You see, so bad.
So, like, this is the big thing for me. Everybody's like, oh, I've heard that, COVID is this, COVID is that, it's not so bad, it's like a flu. And I'm like, no. It's too early to really know the actual after effects that this thing has on the body once it's gone through you and then passed.
Yes.
Which is why both Edward and I are proponents of the vaccine.
Yes.
Because the vaccine helps your body fight it. So therefore, it stands to reason that if you have the vaccine, these kinds of issues are mitigated because your body already knows how to fight it. Yeah. And therefore, the virus doesn't have a chance to infect you and to take root and do long-term damage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally it. And another point that they hammered down in the study is the fact that, as Hans said, there is no long-term proof yet, but it does point to more serious defects as well in the body, because when you get COVID and you get this, let's say, hyperinflammation, that doesn't necessarily mean you were super healthy beforehand or afterwards. Someone who were healthy beforehand, this means it might just bring genetic health issues to the forefront.
I've heard of people who were super fit.
Yes.
Late 20s, early 30s. They were runners, crossfitters, whatever the case is. Got COVID. Boom. Bedridden, couldn't breathe, almost on the point of needing oxygen.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. See, that's the big thing with COVID, is scientists still don't understand all the effects because of the genetic biodiversity that we have within the human populace. And it's why we keep getting different variants of the virus. Because there's so many of us, and because it's a bacteria, which means it's technically alive, it is evolving.
It's
it's mutating.
Yeah.
It's
bad.
The vaccine, y'all. Get the vaccine.
Yeah, and That's literally the point of this one. It's literally just if you don't stay outside, your penis will inside.
Well,
So just keep that in mind, yo.
and as Edward was saying earlier, how he's always like, well, if I have to do the penis, then I better do something like vag related.
Yeah.
And, well, now he's talking about 9 boobs to rule them all.
Yes. So actually, it's the other way around. This is the one that fell into my lap this time, and then the penis one is the one I googled. Yeah, got it always. So I found.
I mean, wait, before you carry on, let's just talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we can say personality is the most attractive thing to somebody, but let's be real here. When we talk about primary sexual characteristics,
Yeah.
the visuals are one of the first things that you see.
Yeah.
Okay? And if and hopefully this doesn't sound too misogynistic or whatever the case is, but I'm definitely a boob man. Where do you stand, Edward? Are you a butt person, a foot? Well, you see, I say I'm predominantly a boob man, but I also look at teeth and
Have
hands
you ever
and
seen
feet.
my
And
beautiful toes?
please no. Let's just move on. Like,
to answer your question, I don't know. To be fair,
well, the
it
interesting
depends which mood I am.
Actually, if I must be perfectly honest, one of the first things that I see are teeth.
Makes sense.
I would prefer clean.
Yeah.
And straight,
nice, white and straight.
They don't have to be straight. But
Monster goblin teeth.
At least clean. That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
And then also, I would say almost hygiene more than anything else.
Yeah.
The way the person smells, and if their skin is clean. You know,
and
that's actually like the first thing.
On
and
top of that, you're also like hypersensitive, so you notice all of these things at once.
So what Edward is talking about is I guess I'm very blessed this way. I have like a very, very good sense of hearing and smell.
To my detriment.
Because sometimes Edward will come in and be like, Edward,
like, what's that? And I'm like, I don't know. The thing is, I think that's more of a boob or an ass question. Is the fact that it's overall presentation.
Yeah. Yes, actually.
Yeah.
It's not really. Okay, well, anyway, I guess what I was trying to pivot towards, and I just totally failed at it, is that as somebody who quite likes boobies, I can now understand that there are 9 types.
9 main types.
9 main types, and the next time I'm with a partner, I can be like, okay, so I have this podcast, and according to that, you're asymmetric.
Yeah. It's quite obvious as well. So sorry, ma'am. So yeah, there are 9. Turns out that there are 9 main types. In terms of how they look. Now this is purely aesthetic.
Look, we're going to link to the image as well, so that you can have a look at it.
It's a cool image. I don't know who drew it. Credit to whoever the artist is. But yeah, the first point and the first most common, I would say, pair
asymmetry
is asymmetry, which is just when the one is larger than the other. That's how it goes. And
you know why, though? Do you know why?
Why? No.
It has to do with the physiology. So generally, regardless of whether it's extremely large compared to the other side, and I stand to be corrected, but as far as I understand, in female anatomy, the left breast is always bigger than the right because of the heart.
I thought it was because like God took a bone from the woman's body or something.
It's got to do with blood flow and the heart. So the one side is always slightly enlarged, even with men.
That's cool, actually. That's dope.
Yeah.
So my moves, like, if I had
one side's always going to be bigger than the other.
That's
actually
cool.
You know what we should now that we're speaking about this, we should also find out if that has an impact on testicles, because they generally say that I think the left one drops more than the right one, right?
Yeah, I was about to say it's usually like this, never like this.
Yeah. So I'm wondering now if that may be okay. Now we're just spitballing. Let's go back
it's all conjecture.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So asymmetry is the first one.
Yes.
And then after that?
Athletic.
What's athletic?
Now, it's basically more taut. When the skin is tighter and it's more pronounced around the areolas. Okay. Now, the interesting point about athletic is that women don't need to be athletic to have athletic type. I can't tell a word, but those athletic to have that type, because it's just literally how it's shaped, and that can be genetic, that can come down to how you've treated your body growing up, and that's interesting. The third point is east-west. Now
This sounds like a Kanye child. Kanye and Kardashian.
Isn't the one called east-west or something?
One is west, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I'm
Irish
sure it is.
West. No, that's DC.
No, that's DC.
Anyway.
It's one of the children.
It sounds very colloquial, the list, to be fair. This is when the nipples are pointed in different directions. So it doesn't matter about the shape. You can have an asymmetrical pair.
Oh, okay.
But the nipples...
So you can have combinations of these things?
Yeah, you can. I didn't put the link here, but I found more evidence about the different types and how they intermingle with each other.
Okay.
Then you get relaxed, which is basically every woman's nightmare. It's just about it sagging.
So is that the term?
It's relaxed.
Okay.
But
so men are always relaxed until they're not.
Technically, yeah, that they are.
Okay.
And then you get bell shape. Now this one is interesting because it's technically relaxed, but and also technically rounded, but it's more of, it looks like a bell if you look at it from the front.
Okay.
Now the typical bell, the one that you hold and it goes ding ding ding.
Yeah, the one that
it looks like that kind of bell.
Okay.
I
actually do know what you're talking about.
And this is also an uncommon one, the bell shaped one. Then you get slender, which they describe as, it just means your boobs are thinner. Now I don't know what this really gets down to from an aesthetic
perspective,
point. But that's their official term of it.
Okay.
Then you get side set, which is basically when you have more space between.
So you're not pencil holding.
Yes, yeah. It's more. You don't have to be small or petite.
Yes.
But you have to have the space.
Okay.
Essentially a thigh gap, but not a thigh gap.
Yeah.
Then you get round, which I always thought was fake. When I see round, I think fake. It's literally rounded.
Okay, but the thing is, though, sometimes you really can see when a set of breasts
fake.
are fake, because it's look, and all more power to you if that's what you want. Whatever you feel you need to do for your body, that's fantastic. But the only times that I've seen it really obviously is when you can actually see the insert.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like the person who's very, very not thin, they have very low body fat. And then it actually it pushes.
And you
up.
can see
you can actually see the if you really want to get an idea of what I'm talking about, Google female bodybuilders, and you can tell which ones have had implants and which haven't. Because you must understand, when you're bodybuilding like that, you're building up the muscle and you're losing body fat, and boobs are just fat.
Yeah.
So when they go away and you put in an insert, it's quite obvious that that's what it is.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with doing it. I'm just saying that you're saying how you always thought that rounded was
I always did, no matter how it looked.
There are some really beautiful ones that are real. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's literally it. The point of them is that they look pretty much they
look fake, but they're not.
The poster.
So if you're in that category, ace.
Yeah. And then lastly, you get the teardrop, which is basically round, but they are more sharp down the end.
Okay.
So from the front, they kind of look like a teardrop shape. So sorry, not at the end, up top. So they go like this instead of like this. For those who can see.
For those who are watching Edward's video.
And I found this mega interesting because I did not know they were types. I always thought it's just genetic,
Well, I mean, it's obvious that women all have different, like men are all different.
But
there's a general shape, but they're all different.
But see, that's the thing. I thought when I first came across the thanks Reddit, it was a male construct, just this the different categories. Turns out no, that's how they.
So these are legit scientific terms.
I wouldn't know if it's they sound colloquial.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
But I think that's how they are described inside. Let's say you want to change your boob shape or size.
We've done this for the male penis before.
Yeah.
I just don't
with
remember
the
what they were
banana
called.
and
oh yes, there we go.
Yeah,
one of the previous episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, so who knows? Maybe this is more than just a colloquialism.
It must
maybe
be
this is
because I found multiples.
But honestly, though, no one's really going to remember.
No.
And also, to be perfectly honest, I've heard of people refer to them as like fish eyes. So I'm wondering where that comes in, because you haven't.
I have not.
You have no fisheye one.
No, I
here.
think that's the east-west one. I guess.
I think you're right.
Yeah. When you say fisheye, that's the immediate thing
It's like,
I see. Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't know. Okay. That's the end of NSFW.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's actually a different tune.
That's a theme song, not a tune.
Wow. Well, there we go, Ed.
Mm.
Welcome to the end of Ghetto 59, Season 2, Episode 17. I'm officially a year older when you all hear this.
A year and a day, give or take.
Well, depending on when you listen to the podcast.
Let's be honest, you're just a day older.
Well, actually, you know the whole thing with age, right? You know how people are like, oh, I'm a year older now, right?
You're
technically.
not.
Well, I mean, think about it like this, okay? You're not. A lot of people think that when you turn an age, let's say you turn 35, that you're beginning your 35th year. No,
you've begun that 9 months ago.
A birthday is celebrating the fact that you made it to the end of your 35th year.
Yes.
That's actually what it's celebrating, the end of reaching that year.
So it's not like, I wish you good. That's why you say, I wish you good fortunes ahead.
Yes. That's why you always say, you may the year ahead be a good one for you.
Yeah, okay.
Because obviously we're hoping you make it to the next milestone.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it's about.
Okay. That's
I mean,
smart.
Ed, listen, you're 30 this year. Hey?
Yeah, I am.
Getting married and going to be 30.
Oh boy.
Those are wonderful milestones.
Literally on top of each other as well.
Such is your honeymoon. Anyway.
Wow. Thank you for that image. As good as it might be, it's going to be good. It's going to be
good. We're going to have a lot of things that Edward doesn't know about, because, I actually will plan things for Edward in the future. In case you're wondering why nothing has been planned for my birthday this episode. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
No, but it's been very good. Edward, thank you for doing another episode with me. To all of you wonderful people who listen or watch or share, thank you, because we had our best month in May.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yes, we had our highest number of listeners, and you calculated, I think you said it was like almost 50% growth month on month.
Yeah.
So
since March.
Yes, April.
Since
April. Since we started this year. Yeah. So thank you, to those of you who are taking the time to listen, even if you don't actively engage with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. We love it. It means a lot to us. It keeps us going. And with that in the mind, we look forward to seeing you all for episode 60 next week.
Wow.
I know, right? Can you believe it? Our 60th episode.
Jeez, okay. I'm surprised.
So until then, we hope you all have a wonderful week. And we both look forward to seeing you then. Ciao for now.
Bye.